Hi guys, myself Dr. Digvijay, Director of Altiskips Pediatric Super Specialty Hospital, Lucknow, India. Today we shall be talking about a very advanced mode of mechanical ventilation by the name of high frequency oscillatory ventilation. This is usually deployed as a rescue mode when other conventional modes fail to provide either adequate oxygenation, ventilation, or both. This operates at higher mean airway pressure than conventional mean airway pressure, and there are oscillations, that is fluctuations of pressure known as delta swings, producing amplitude, which results into tidal volume in the range of 1 to 3 ml per kg, way lesser than the anatomical dead space, is still maintaining best possible oxygenation and ventilation. At the same time, the frequency of the oscillations is in the range of 3 Hz to 15 Hz, which is equivalent to respiratory rate of 180 to 900 breaths per minute, way higher than the physiological respiratory rate. And anything more than 150 breaths per minute is considered as high frequency, and with oscillations around this mean airway pressure, it is well defined as high frequency oscillatory ventilation. Now, here I will also like to give due credit to dogs, because the very idea of high frequency oscillatory ventilation was innovated from the panting activity of dogs. Though I am not a dog lover and I don't have much knowledge about dogs, but I am being informed that dogs lack sweat glands, which is required for thermoregulation. Therefore, in hot and humid conditions, dogs do panting with increased respiratory rate, that is hyperventilation, with least of the tidal volumes, is still maintaining best possible oxygenation, ventilation, as well as thermoregulation. So even dogs have assisted humans evolve with time. In a nutshell, I will like to say that high frequency oscillatory ventilation guarantees better oxygenation, ventilation, and at the same time it minimizes ventilator induced lung injury in form of less of barotrauma, less of volutrauma, and less of atelectotrauma. Now, let's talk about the various components, parameters of this high frequency oscillatory mode. Now, I would like to take you guys towards the screen of our SLE 5000 ventilator, which carries the high frequency oscillatory mode. So here you can appreciate HFO. So this SLE 5000 infant ventilator has this mode by the name of high frequency oscillatory ventilation. And here in the panel at the bottom, you can appreciate multiple parameters over here. Here first you can appreciate in the center you have mean, that represents the mean airway pressure. As in conventional mode of ventilation, you have map which determines the oxygenation. Here also this map is responsible for oxygenation and recruitment of the alveoli, preventing the atelectasis. So this mean will determine oxygenation. Other things related to mean we will discuss in upcoming part of this demonstration. Here towards the right you can appreciate oxygen percentage, that is the FiO2, fraction of inspired oxygen, and this is in the range of 21 to 100%, as you have already studied in conventional ventilation. And here towards the right of mean you can appreciate the delta P, also known as amplitude or delta swings, produced by the to and fro movement of the pressure piston around the mean airway pressure. This delta P will help produce the tidal volumes in the range of 1 to 3 ml per kg, way lesser than the anatomical dead space, is still maintaining adequate oxygenation and ventilation, and the principle behind that will be discussed in this demonstration itself. Here you can appreciate the HFO rate or the frequency. You can appreciate the range from 3 Hz to almost 15 Hz, and 1 Hz is equivalent to 60 breaths per minute. And therefore, if you convert 3 Hz to 15 Hz into breath per minute, it will be equivalent to 180 to 900 breaths per minute. That is more than 150 breaths per minute, and therefore it is known as high frequency oscillatory ventilation. And more about this delta P, that is amplitude. The piston moves up and down around this mean airway pressure, resulting into generation of the tidal volume. And here I would like to emphasize on the fact that both inspiration and expiration both are active, unlike in conventional modes where only inspiration is active. Unlike in spontaneous ventilation where only inspiration is active, expiration is always passive. This is exception to that rule. High frequency oscillatory ventilation provides active inhalation and active exhalation. Therefore, chances of air trapping are lesser. Here you can appreciate the IE ratio, that is ratio of inspiration and expiration. And you guys know that the physiological ratio of inspiration and expiration is 1:2. And so in this HFO as well, we usually keep this ratio in the range of 1:2, like in conventional ventilation as well. And sometimes you might need more of oxygenation, then you can increase this ratio as 1:1. Sometimes ventilation is desired, therefore you can change this ratio from 1:2 to 1:3 or 1:4. But usually we don't disturb this IE ratio in HFO mode of ventilation. Now, let's talk about the determinants of oxygenation and ventilation in HFO mode. See, in conventional modes, oxygenation depends on mean airway pressure and FiO2. So is the case with this high frequency oscillatory mode as well. Now, if we talk about the ventilation part, ventilation in conventional mode depends on respiratory rate and tidal volume, together known as minute ventilation. But that is not the case with high frequency oscillatory ventilation. In case of high frequency oscillatory ventilation, CO2 elimination, that is ventilation, is directly proportional to the frequency, that is the respiratory rate, but it is directly proportional to the square of the tidal volume. In high frequency oscillatory mode, if you happen to increase the frequency, the tidal volume goes down. And by now you guys have understood that tidal volume carries more weightage because ventilation is directly proportional to the square of tidal volume. Therefore, if you happen to increase the frequency, tidal volume goes down and ultimately CO2 elimination or ventilation goes down. So what to do if you need more of CO2 elimination? Then you need to change the delta P. You need to increase the amplitude. Increasing the amplitude will result into more of tidal volume, and as you guys have already understood that CO2 elimination is directly proportional to the square of the tidal volume. Therefore, it can help maintain good oxygenation by increasing the amplitude or delta P. And I will also like to emphasize on the fact that HFO mode helps uncoupling of oxygenation and ventilation to certain extent, because in this particular mode CO2 elimination exclusively depends on frequency and amplitude, and in this particular mode oxygenation almost exclusively depends on the mean airway pressure and the FiO2. Now let's talk about the indications in which this particular high frequency oscillatory mode can be used as a rescue mode. See, I am not telling that this is a primary mode of ventilation, neither it is a mode which can be used for weaning. It can be used in certain clinical conditions as a rescue mode, and these clinical conditions are mainly related to a neonate. Therefore, it is considered as a very advanced mode of ventilation in neonates in NICUs when conventional mechanical ventilation fails to maintain the oxygenation, ventilation, or both. Few clinical conditions where it is successfully deployed is your hyaline membrane disease, also known as respiratory distress syndrome of newborn, which happens due to surfactant deficiency in preterm newborns. Second indication is persistent pulmonary hypertension in case of neonates, and third indication is congenital diaphragmatic hernia with pulmonary hypoplasia. In adults, its use is mainly restricted to refractory hypoxemia in case of ARDS and to certain degree in pulmonary hypertension and even in pneumothorax. Now let's talk about the principles behind the functioning of high frequency oscillatory mode of ventilation. See, we have already discussed that this mode acts like a rescue mode, maintaining more oxygenation, ventilation, at the same time also minimizing the VILI, that is ventilator induced lung injury, that is less of barotrauma, less of volutrauma, and less of atelectotrauma. Let's understand each and everything one by one. See, this is not a conventional mode. This is not based on the bulk flow of gases in the airway. In this particular mode, there is phenomena of Taylor's dispersion and phenomena of Pendeluft. I will particularly like to explain the phenomena of Pendeluft. In this particular mode, when the air current reaches towards the distal airways, it first reaches towards the non-compliant alveoli because the time constant of non-compliant alveoli is lesser as compared to compliant alveoli, and from the non-compliant alveoli, the air current is redirected towards the compliant alveoli, resulting into facilitating into better oxygenation and ventilation. And now, while less of volutrauma because it uses a very tiny tidal volumes, and while less of barotrauma in spite of having mean airway pressure higher than the conventional mode. See, though the MAP is higher than the conventional modes of ventilation, still it is not as high as P max, that is peak inspiratory pressure used in conventional modes of ventilation. And behind the concept of less barotrauma, why HFO mode, one more concept is there. The other concept is based on the filtration effect. While the air passes from the proximal airways to distal airways, there is filtration effect, that is pressure dissipation, which results into less of pressure in the distal airways, resulting into less of barotrauma. And the concept behind less of atelectotrauma can be well understood because in this particular mode, you have mean airway pressure way higher than the positive end expiratory pressure, that is PEEP, used in conventional modes for the alveolar recruitment. So higher the mean airway pressure, more will be the alveolar recruitment and less will be atelectotrauma. Now let's discuss setting of the initial parameters in this HFO mode. We have already discussed that this is a rescue mode of mechanical ventilation. So if you are not able to achieve adequate oxygenation or ventilation by conventional modes, then you can swap from conventional mode to HFO mode. Now let's talk about the initial settings required on this HFO mode when you swap from conventional mode to this HFO mode. So let's again have a look at the ventilator screen. Right, here again in the center you have center of attraction, that is your mean airway pressure. So this mean airway pressure when you shift from conventional to high frequency oscillatory mode is usually kept 2 to 3 centimeter higher than the conventional mean airway pressure to maintain more of oxygenation and to maintain more of alveolar recruitment. Now, coming on to delta P. Delta P that represents the amplitude. It is kept usually twice of the mean airway pressure, and we have already discussed that this delta P or amplitude will determine the tidal volume. Here you have FiO2, that is fraction of inhaled oxygen. It is kept 100% initially, and over a period of time it is titrated down to maintain saturation in the range of 90 to 95%. And here you can appreciate the frequency, the rate, which is in the range of 3 to 15 hertz, equivalent to 180 to 900 breaths per minute. An initial setting of this rate depends on the age and size of patient. In neonates, we usually keep the frequency between 10 to 15, whereas in pediatric age group, we keep the frequency between 8 and 10, while in adults, we keep this frequency in the range of 5 to 8 hertz. So, so bigger the bigger the size of patient, lesser will be the frequency. Now one more thing about this delta P. Though initially it is kept twice of the mean airway pressure, but the chest wiggles also provide important clue regarding setting of this delta P or amplitude. In case of neonates is up to umbilicus, for pediatric age group it is up to pubic symphysis, and for adults it is considered up to thighs. Now last parameter, that is your IE ratio. It is usually set as a 1:2 ratio, but if you intend to increase the oxygenation, if it was not achieved by mean airway pressure and FiO2, you can increase this IE ratio 1:2 to 1:1. And similarly, sometimes when you fail to achieve adequate ventilation by setting this frequency and delta P, then you can manipulate this IE ratio as well. You can change it from 1:2 to 1:3 or 1:4. That is, you can increase the expiratory part. So these are initial settings of high frequency oscillatory ventilation when you swap a patient from conventional mode to a high frequency oscillatory mode. Now let's talk about the monitoring required while patient is on high frequency oscillatory ventilation mode. First of all, you need to look for adequate wiggles. We have already discussed in different scenarios, for example, neonates, pediatric age group and adults. And apart from clinical assessment, you also need to look at the blood gas analysis, where you need to keep the pH above 7.15, permissive hypoxemia, that is PaO2 levels in between 55 to 80 millimeters of mercury, and permissive hypercapnia as well. And last but not the least, a chest X-ray is also needed to determine adequate chest expansion. Now let's discuss the criteria according to which you can swap this patient back from HFO mode to conventional modes of ventilation. First of all, you guys need to stabilize the mean airway pressure, and then you need to decrease the FiO2 followed by mean airway pressure followed by amplitude. And if patient has improved clinically and ABG shows favorable results, you can swap back to the conventional mode of ventilation. Now let's talk about few drawbacks related to this high frequency oscillatory ventilation. First of all, because it operates at higher mean airway pressure, it increases the intrathoracic pressure. Therefore, venous return might decrease, resulting into less of cardiac output. So it might result into hypotension. Therefore, sometimes you guys might need vasopressor support while patient on HFO mode of ventilation. Second drawback is that in order to provide high frequency oscillatory mode ventilation, you need to completely sedate the patient and paralyze as well. Third, it is not very effective mode of mechanical ventilation when it comes to obstructive lung diseases, for example, asthma or COPD. Now let's summarize. High frequency oscillatory ventilation mode is an advanced mode of mechanical ventilation used as a rescue mode when conventional modes fail to achieve adequate oxygenation and ventilation. And the other advantage is that it minimizes the VILI, that is ventilator induced volume trauma, that is less of barotrauma, less of volume trauma, and less of atelectotrauma. That's all. I hope you guys have understood. For more medical lectures, you can visit www.rxmedicalacademy.com, or you can download and access lectures over the RX Medical Academy Android app. Bye bye. Have a good day.